Today's making sense question. What does cash cycle mean? Cash cycle can also be discussed as cash conversion cycle. Basically, what it means is what is the time frame from when cash money leaves my door to go buy a product or service or basically a cost of goods sold, a piece of inventory that will be sold at a later date, and when is the actual time frame when I actually get paid for selling that services. So the shorter the time frame on that cash cycle, the better, clearly. The longer the time frame, not good, because then you have cash out the door, sitting in inventory sitting, and then receiving money on a later date. What are the big impacts, or what are the big timelines with it, right? That specifically impact cash cycle. Number one upfront is payment of kind of inventory or services that you're going to sell at a later date, right? So number one, if you're a product-based company, when you're buying your inventory, when you have to pay for your inventory, how long will your inventory sit, in your warehouse before it's sold? So number one, just pure payment terms. If your payment terms for your inventory is net 60 after you receive them, great. What if it's prepayment of 30 terms before you receive it? That's a 90-day swing. So negotiating payment terms as best as possible is a really key aspect of that. So number one, when you pay for your products or services that you're going to sell at a later date, that impacts number one. Number two is how long something is sitting there before you actually kind of invoice or sell to your customers. So inventory, is it sitting there for 30, 60, 90 days before you actually sell those products or services? For example, let's say you're in web design and you have paid contractors over time to help support the outflow or employees, but then you don't actually invoice or sell to your customer for 60 days later, right? So again, it's the timeline in the middle. How quickly do you sell and or invoice your customers for that time frame or for that service or product? The last item, the last aspect of it is when you invoice your customers, when do they get paid, right? Or when do you get paid? So basically you invoice your customer, let's say it's not 30 terms, you get paid in 30 days or 45 or 60, right? Or if you invoice your customers due upon receipt, you make it, paid right away. We all know that everybody pays on terms, so that can, get extended out a long time. So your cash cycle, if you're a product-based business that's bringing something over from China, it's inherently going to be longer versus having a kind of service-based company where you can just sell accounting services and bill them in a more consistent manner, right? So in short, focusing though on the front end aspect of it, of terms, payment terms for your products you're selling, the middle aspect of how long is something sitting there waiting to be actually invoiced or sold or create revenue for your company generating from your customers. And then the third aspect is payment terms to your customers once you invoice them. If you can minimize those on both sides by 15 days or 10 or 15 days, that could save you 30 days of cash cycle, which goes on. And then if you have a shorter cash cycle, that means in your profitable company, that means that you have a cash bank that keeps growing more, and then you can actually pay for services without taking out loans or needing more funding or equity or, et cetera. So hopefully that all makes sense. It's not overly complicated. And I think just so you're clear as a business owner, segmenting those into the different aspects or the different stages really helps you. And then you can really understand and break down how you could improve each step of the process. So that's what cash cycle means. At the end of the day, I hope you learned a few things on the cash cycle process. And thanks for listening to Making Sense.